It's time to get personal with Jaws the Revenge. This time, it's personal. Such a silly tagline. I mean, I don't hate this movie like everybody else does. I definitely don't think it's great by any means, but the 2.9 on IMDb, I'm sorry, is fucking ridiculous. That is out of control low. You know, I could understand maybe 4, like a 4.0 or something like that, but get out of here, 2.9. It's insane. You know how many fucking shitty movies are way higher than that? And I'm not even like, that's not, I don't know. I try not to get too preachy about what I consider to be like officially bad, and nothing you say can change my mind and you're wrong. Like, I'm not that kind of person, but there are some movies that I just genuinely think are fucking terrible films that are irredeemable and have nothing going for them. Like a Halloween Resurrection or something. I think that has like a 4 point something. But there are fans. I've met them. I don't honestly know how, but hey, you like what you like, whatever. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that shitty movie. I'm here to talk about this shitty movie. No, this movie isn't shitty. It's not great. Honestly, I think that what makes this film not great for me is not so much like, because it's not that, it's not poorly made or anything. Like, it's got a decent production value and the acting is good for most everybody in it. And, you know, everything is fine. It's just, it's really boring for the most part. There's a lot of like, oh my God, is he dating my mom? Like, can you tell me about him? And then her going out on dates. And I mean, it's fine to see her go out and have some kind of chemistry with somebody. But I mean, we're here to see a shark. We're in the 4th film in a Jaws series. Like, this film should focus a lot more on the shark and, you know, why. But I think the biggest mistake that this movie made and the production team made and the director and all that, the writers, is bringing back the Brody family. Like, I think they should have bowed out of that and just made a shark film in Amity or something like that. I mean, it'd have to have some connectivity to be considered a Jaws film and not just a shark film. But maybe, like, you know, the shark attacks start happening in Amity and the Brodies are gone. Like, making it the Brodies again it's just gotten so ridiculous at this point. And they take it one step further. And I'm not going to say that this movie's plot and some of the plot devices within it are not absurd, out of control, stupid as fuck, because they are. But I can look past those kinds of things. Like the fact that Lorraine's character, you know, Ellen, has like almost like a psychic link with this shark and her son, where she's like, you know, her son sees the shark out on the thing and she's like, starts like, oh my God, and it's like attacking, and she's attacking the boat, and she's like, well, on a date, and she's like, oh my God, I can sense that the shark has come, and he he killed fucking Sean in Amity, and then they flew off to the Bahamas to get away, and he hunted her. He swam all the way to the Bahamas to hunt down the Brody family, because he's getting revenge. Revenge for what? We don't know. Because she almost alludes to, like, that it's the same shark. What is this, a ghost shark? Like, there's no surviving what happened to the shark in the first one. So I don't know if they're trying to suggest that this is the same shark, but I have to assume that it's supposed to be a relative of his or something stupid. And another stupid thing is, if you're going to make this a Brody family, you know, sequel, you can't just outright ignore the third one. I mean, look at Halloween. They can ignore whatever the fuck they want, however many times they want to do it. But why ignore Jaws 3? Like, I just don't think it would have been that hard to write it in. I know that originally the plan was to try to get Roy Scheider to return for a cameo and have him be the one who dies in the opening. as opposed to you know, his son Sean. But once that was scrapped, and once he was like, no way, like Satan himself couldn't make me work on the film or whatever the hell he said about it, it's time to rewrite the script. Because I don't think that's the way Brody should have went out. I mean, they just killed him with a heart attack, which is fine. I mean, that's older people. That's unfortunately how they, you know, a lot of them die. So that's that makes sense. Brody getting killed by a shark. I'm sorry, I wouldn't have liked it. And I don't like when movies bring back characters from iconic films and they're survivors and they kill them off like in the middle of or halfway through or even at the end. Unless they're like the main character and they brought it back for like a good storyline or whatever, but you just like throw away a main character from an iconic film like they did with The Hitcher 2, Better Watch Out or whatever. That is fucking like insulting to me, and I legitimately like, no, fuck that. They almost do it in a lot of, or they do it, but I guess you could consider that to be what they do in a couple of the Friday the 13th movies. Basically, the last person in, you know, part 1 gets killed off in part 2. You know, so I guess it's kind of a horror movie trope in a way, but I just find it very offensive, especially someone like Brody, because he's such an iconic character. But anyway, let's talk more about this movie. I'm rambling a little bit. So Lorraine Gary reprises the role as Ellen, obviously. We have Michael Caine in this, who has never seen the movie. And he said that he's heard that it's overwhelmingly awful, but if you've ever seen the house that it built for him, it's, you know, that's wonderful. So, like, this is a fucking full-on paycheck movie, didn't give a shit. Just never even watched the movie, which is kind of funny, but at the same time, kind of like, really? Like, would you, if you were an actor, would you not watch a movie you starred in? Like, I just can't imagine being in a film and not have ever even seen it. That just is bizarre to me. But whatever. We get Lance Guest here. A lot of people would obviously know him like The Last Starfighter, but I mean, come on. Who is he really? Jimmy from Halloween 2. So good to see him. And we have Mario Van Peebles here as well. Solo himself. No, not that Solo. And God, you know, it's so hard to watch movies with little kids that had tragic things happen to them, like Poltergeist or something. But the little girl in this, a cute little girl in this movie, I was watching this and I looked her up because I remember, and as soon as I saw her picture, I was like, oh no, that's that little girl, that's right. Her dad shot her and her mom and himself to death. And while watching this movie, there's just such a taint on it because of that. Like, she's being so cute and she's just, ugh. Like, who could hurt something like that? Anyway, I don't want to get too personal here, but fuck, man, that really does affect the ability to enjoy it. Sean's death in the opening is okay. I think it's kind of scary in a way, especially, I think it has way too many cuts. Like, they keep cutting back and forth between him and the singers, and it just breaks up the tension in his scene. I feel like doing it once may have been okay, like just to kind of prove why no one's hearing his screaming, but they didn't need to intercut like 5 times in a row. It just was completely unnecessary and took away from the scene. But I thought it was pretty good. He comes up, he bites his arm off, and then he comes. I don't know why Sean would then stick his head towards the fucking front of the boat to have it like bit and like pulled down into the water or whatever. But him swimming around and screaming out and just in the darkness and all alone, and you know, that's what's so terrifying about this. Like, once you're attacked, like before you're attacked, you don't know what's coming. So if you're just chomped and killed instantly, that's nowhere near as bad to me as getting like a bit of you chewed off, especially if it's like an arm or a leg or something that's prohibiting you from being able to swim away. Like, getting chomped like that and then just knowing like there's something that just was big enough to take your arm and is going to take your life at any moment, and you're just sitting there and you're waiting around in the water for this thing to come up at any moment, and you're just waiting for it, like, no, please, like, oh my God, so terrifying. So just kind of being in his head in that moment, and the scene, the way it's lit and everything, I think it's a pretty good scene. As I said, too many stupid cuts, but otherwise effective. Then they give Mrs. Brody his personal effects, which include his police-issued sidearm. Pretty sure they wouldn't give that to her, but maybe he bought it himself. Maybe this is a cheap town where he had to buy his own handgun. It's possible. I don't know. Like, here's your son's gun. I don't know why she needs that. So she can go kill herself. Your husband's dead. Your kid just died. Fucking. That would have been a fucked up movie, 5 minutes long. And we get another couple familiar faces here, like the mayor's wife and the girl that works in the police department, answers the phone, the secretary or whatever. There's a couple familiar faces in town, so it's kind of cool to see them again. Unfortunately, they had to be attached to a movie that isn't all that great. To get all these people back, like Lorraine Gary and all the other people, would have been cool to have something. Maybe just have them as background characters. Like, they didn't even have to be like a main part of it. Like, they could go to her and be able to talk to her about what happened with her husband if they couldn't do it. And there would be more focus on like a new set of people. But him hunting her to the Bahamas and a psychic link and all that shit. What the fuck were they thinking with that dumbass shit? And the Michael Caine's character in this movie is a total fucking maniac. I mean, not only is he letting a child fly his, plane that he's chartering, but then, like, he takes his girl up and he gives her the throw and he, like, lets go and he, like, starts crashing and he's, like, flying it super low. And then at the end of the movie, even though he's in, like, horrible gambling debt and he's, like, throwing all this money on the line and, it's just, like, rolls snake eyes and is so whatever about it, nonchalant. And we already know that he has so many debts in gambling that he has to fly for the rest of his life, although he's pretty old in this. But regardless, like, he has to fly for the rest of his life to try to get out of it, and he's at the craps table just balling it up. Like, come on, man. Like, this is who she goes to. Like, this is her rebound after her husband dies. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go to a total fucking gambling lunatic. I guess that's exciting to her. I don't know. But yeah, at the end, he crashes his plane into the water. Like, no big deal. Like, I mean, I get it, but it's just insane to me. Like, he's just like, I'm just gonna land this on the water. It's like someone I just met, and then he comes up and it's just like no big deal. And at the end, he just has another plane. Like, oh, you just crashed like $50,000 plane into fucking water and whatever. Here's another one, even though you have gambling debts and whatever. I think they would have buried him at sea with that fucking. They would have put him right on the plane that he sunk. And they have no chemistry really when it comes down to like the physical aspect. Like, they seem to have a good, because Lorraine's character here, she is a great actress, and I think she's actually a very beautiful woman for her age. But like when they go to kiss at the bar or whatever, the kiss is so not passionate. You can tell that they're both just like paycheck people. Like, all right, and scene out. Then we have a reiteration of the shadowing scene, the copying, the pantomime, and the copying of Mike and his kid versus Brody and Sean from the earlier film. So I don't know, it's a tad redundant, but it was cute to see like her seeing a new generation taking it on and being reminded of what she watched. It's fine. It's cute. I don't think it had the, weight and the punch that it meant to have, but it was all right. When Mike is in the ship, and this is where I'm saying, like, there's highlights of this movie. Like, when Mike swims down and he's getting chased by the shark, he's in the submersible, and then he gets out of it and he swims down, he's in the ship. When that shark is coming down there and it's fucking, chasing him through there, and he has to, like, use his oxygen tank to, shoot himself, propel himself up. Hopefully he didn't get an embolism in his brain from rising too quickly, like happens in Jaws 2. That scene's actually pretty intense. I mean, it could have been longer, it could have been more thought out, but I thought it was pretty good. I liked the way that scene played out, so that was good. And the banana boat scene is very memorable. I think a lot of people who grew up around this era remember this very well. So the banana boat scene, is pretty good, and I like how he just picks off the girl in the back and just chomps her and takes her, and like you just see her like thrashing and just like pulls her down. It's evil. One of the only deaths in this movie. And we get the fake out black guy kill here. Like I was like, oh, black guy's gone, and then it was like, nope, he survived, and he's bleeding out, probably attracting. You know, they're not supposed to have sharks out there, but who knows? That one's there. Maybe the other 20 relatives are coming. Who knows? They've killed enough of them now. They've killed 4 of them. They didn't say a size in this one, so it wasn't like this one was 40 to 5 feet up like they've usually been doing. So we never get an actual size here. Not that I heard. It may have happened, but I don't think I heard it. And and you know, I had talked about how the shark growls in this movie, and while that is kind of true, it does scream out. Mike is shocking the thing, and it's like coming out of the water, and it's like, "Arr, arr." They could have just wrote it out, absolutely. But honestly, like, with the limited capabilities they had in the animatronics of the shark, I don't know how else they could have conveyed to the audience that the shark was in pain from being shocked. So I was really kind of paying attention to that scene and being like, okay, even though this is silly and sharks don't growl and they don't scream out in pain, they don't make noise like that. So it is stupid and they shouldn't have done it, absolutely. But I think that what they were just trying to achieve there was they needed a way for the audience to realize that when he pressed that button, that something was happening to the shark, and they just couldn't come up with anything else. Like, well, we have to have him scream out in pain. Like, otherwise it just looks like he's like mad and opening his mouth like, arr, you know, without making the noise. It doesn't really say anything to us. So it just, when he presses that button, it just goes beep. I guess they could have shown, I don't know what else they really could have done. As I said, they're so limited in his facial expressions and his movements and his manner, you know, all that kind of stuff, that we're not going to really get any reaction out of him outside of screaming out in pain. So I don't know. It's a weird scene because I'm like, I get why they did it. I just don't know why they wrote it in. Like, just, if you can't get it, don't do this, because you shouldn't have even had it in the first place. But yeah, so I know a lot of people talk about that, so I had to bring it up and kind of maybe give a tad bit of an argument as much as I could. And then we get the ship rams into her, because on the cover she's like got a spear, which just doesn't happen in the movie. But she rams this, you know, the front of the ship into him, and he explodes. I know in the TV version he explodes like more, I think, or, you know, something like that. I have to look at it. But he blows up. Why he blows up, I have no idea. But he blows up, and it's one of those things, like, have you ever seen that Family Guy episode? And this happens in a lot of movies, but I like how they make fun of it, where like the house blows up like 17 times from different angles. That's what happens here. Like, we get the shark blowing up like 5 different times. Some of them, like 2 or 3 of them, are from the same exact angle, same exact thing. You're like, why did I see that twice in a row? That's ridiculous. So, as I said, I'm not somebody who hates this movie outright. I think it's very silly, but it's much better made than this, you know, anyone would ever give it credit for. This video game, if you can see here, has a, you know, it's like identically the same one, and they both came out in '87, and at the end of this game you spear the shark with the boat. So this is definitely a tie-in to this movie. But anyway, guys, all right, we're done with the Jaws series. We'll have a new theme tomorrow, and I'll probably pick a new series off of that. So, all right, da-dum. Dun 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 dun